state of Osun, with 15 political parties participating in the election. The period leading to Saturday's exercise was marked by accusations and counter-accusations.
Now, to ensure a hitch-free exercise, President Bola Tinubu mandated the Inspector General of Police, Tunji Disu, and other heads of security agencies to provide adequate security at polling units in the state to forestall any disruption of the process. Police authorities, in the wake of the heightened tensions, deployed 15,000 personnel across the state alongside 30 commissioners of police as part of preparations for a hitch-free election.
We thank God it was hitch-free. We bless God for his mercies. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of The Pulse, the program that focuses on the dynamics of good governance, politics, and the socio-economic well-being of the people. We are reaching you live from our various FM stations across the Southwest, comprising Premier FM 93.5 Ibadan, Paramount FM 94.5 Abeokuta, Progress FM 100.5 Ado-Ekiti, Positive FM 102.5 Akure, and of course Gold FM 95.5 Elisha. My name is Stephen Agbaje, and with me is
Emilia Ojemudia. Did you jump Ogoilu or Ogoilu jumped you? Which happened?
Just add it to it when you find it.
I don't like calling that because I may miscall it.
All right, let me help you.
Please
I don't want you to
call another thing. So yeah, call please.
Ogolu FM 89.3 Oko.
Thank you, sir. That was the word I was running away from. My name, once again, is Emilia Ojemudia. Good morning. It's good to be here on another edition of the program, The Pulse. Just to let you know that on the edition for today, we shall be reviewing the just concluded Osun State governorship election. It's no longer news what happened on Saturday.
Yeah.
And everybody is excited.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's happy.
The will of the people.
Where
the
everything
vote of
went.
the people counted.
Yes, the people.
Jubilation on the streets.
The people, none.
The people, no. Democracy now for the people.
Now, and we saw it
by the people.
We saw it play out on Saturday.
You know what I'm saying?
It was so exciting, and we're hoping that, of course, subsequently things like this will happen. Let the people choose for themselves. You understand? Whether they
Free
choose
will.
whatever, whoever, let the choice
They
be
will
their
roll with
own.
it.
Don't
They'll roll
impose
with
anybody
it.
on anyone.
All right, then. Before we set the ball rolling fully, let's flip through the day's papers and see news making headlines. I've got the Punch, the Vanguard, Guardian. But let me start with the Vanguard. Minister's aide tackles Deji, says Abuja flooding predates Wike. 24 killed, many injured in fresh plateau attack. Tinubu allowed free, fair election that gave Adeleke Osun victory, says Wike. And still from the Vanguard, I support APC's decision to review Osun election, says Oyebamiji. All this, you'll find details in the Vanguard for today.
All right, to the Punch. I would have helped Tinubu win Osun. This is credited to Wiki. I saw that interview yesterday on television.
In fact,
and I just commented my reserve.
Nigeria, we hail thee.
Arrest 2 robbery suspects, recover 3 pistols in Ogun State. All right, heavy security as military retires protest pension adjustment, retirees rather, protest pension adjustment. And finally, on the Punch newspaper, NDLEA nabs alleged cocaine baron fleeing to Paris.
The Guardian today says candidates, parties doubt peace accord as election campaign begin. Obi seeks end to killings as fresh attacks claim over 58 lives in Sokoto, Benue and Plateau. I give you the remaining 2.
All right, U.S. lawmaker opposes lifting Nigeria's CPC status, and NBA conference return to Rivers not compensation for 2025 relocation.
Big ups to Olaolu Fawale that put the headlines together on the Pulse.
All right.
Our forefathers fought for our freedom. Our great-grandfathers fought for Nigeria independence. Our grandfathers fought for the unity of our great nation. It is the duty of this generation to keep the unity intact. So, let each and every one of us do what we can to make Nigeria one nation. Let's unite Nigeria.
All right, we are glad to know you're still there with us on the program, The Pulse. Now, election is the democratic process by which citizens, through voting, choose who will represent them in government or what will be done about a particular issue.
The Osun State governorship election might have come and gone. The successes and challenges will always be a talking point for future references. And just as we told you earlier, today's edition of The Pulse, we are reviewing the just concluded Osun State governorship election.
Exactly. Well, that has been making the rounds and it is still in the news. Democratically, the people of Osun State have made their choice through the ballot. Therefore, INEC and all the stakeholders must be duly commended for the successes achieved. However, there's always a room for improvement, especially as next year's general election approach.
Definitely, in less than 5 months, January to be precise, we would be voting generally in the remaining states and the federation.
Exactly.
That is, on this note, observers that monitored the election recorded 20 incidents of late arrival of officials, 18 beavers malfunctioned, 14 cases of vote trading or voter inducement, 12 disputes, and 10 reports of voting delay. This pattern shows that election day pressure was driven by a mixture of challenges.
Exactly. Now, a combination of logistics failures, accreditation, and technology-related disruptions are direct concerns about electoral integrity. Now, the role of stakeholders in the just concluded Osun State governorship election, won by the incumbent governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke of Accord, cannot be overemphasized. Now, our correspondent in the state, Olufunke Adeosun, examines the roles played by various stakeholders in the election process in this special report.
The much anticipated Osun State governorship election has come and gone, with key stakeholders including candidates, political parties, civil society organizations, security agencies, the media, and the key actor in the election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, playing their different roles to ensure the success of the exercise. The off-cycle election was the cynosure of all eyes, considering that its outcome will have a huge impact in the 2027 general election. Speaking with Radio Nigeria, the Osun State Resident Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola, explained that strategic and inclusive sensitization activities were held for marginalized groups, the women, youth, people with disabilities, faith-based and religious groups, as well as community-based non-governmental organizations in all the local governments in the state.
Because we work with security agencies and we need to let them know, as observed by our electoral officers in the field. And this will make our work easy and to make the work of the security agencies easy too.
Mrs. Babalola pointed out that security agencies were also notified about some flashpoints and difficult terrains to aid their planning, deployment, strategies, as well as operations in ensuring the success of the exercise. Also speaking, the chairperson of Osun Election Observation Mission, Yiaga Africa, Dr. Asmau Maikudi, maintained that INEC and security operatives largely passed the test.
Ahead of the Osun governorship election, we describe the poll as a defining test of electoral preparedness, security neutrality, and public trust. We argue that the readiness of INEC, security agencies, and political parties will be judged by their conduct and performance on election day. With the election concluded, the evidence suggests that INEC and security agencies largely passed the test.
Dr. Maikudi also commended the people of Osun State for their resilience and commitment by turning out en masse to vote for the candidates of their choice in the election. In their opinions, 2 voters, Mr. Yomide Samuel and Mr. Kamarudin Ajibola, called on INEC to fix the functionality of the bimodal voter accreditation system devices, BVAS, before the 2027 general election.
We are experiencing a very slow BVAS voting process at this place. The BVAS they gave us here is not as fast as it used to be in the past. We have many queue here. People now that have voted as far as this polling unit is concerned, it's not up to the 50% of the people on the list.
Yes, people are here early, and I observe that we have 1 BVAS. The population here is so much. My observation is that we ought to have at least 3 BVAS and then like 3 cubicles.
The duo commended security agencies and residents of Osun for the peaceful conduct of the election, despite the heightened tension and security threats in the state before the election. In Ilesha, Olufunke Adeosun, Radio Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Olufunke Adeosun, with that package. From low voter turnout to unavailability of assertive materials or support of persons with disabilities to late arrival of election officials, areas and locations affected by these hitches included Ife Central, which recorded the highest with 12 incidents, followed by Ife North with 11, Borikwe with 10, and Ayedade with 7. What are the lessons learned, and also how can these be corrected, especially with regards to voter intimidation and vote buying? To this end, Oladapo Ojo, our man in Osun State, had an interview with Dr. Akinwale Ayotunde, Coordinator, Citizens' Rights Monitor, on how the lessons can be learned, or rather how the lessons learned can help us build a stronger democratic system in the country. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Akinwale Ayotunde, looking back at the 2026 Osun State governorship election, what would you identify as the most important lessons for strengthening Nigeria's democratic process?
The first thing that I want to say is that the enthronement of our people's will. You discover that people were willing, people were resolute, people were determined to go out there despite perceived intimidation and harassment. So I think people's will in democracy has started increasing, and I think it's very, very commendable.
To what extent the conduct of political parties during the Osun election demonstrates progress or weaknesses in Nigeria's democracy?
There is no how we can talk about the success or the progress of this election without making mention of the contribution of the stakeholders. For example, the citizens were resolute, they were determined, they were dogged, they went out there. So we can say that one of the progress is, for example, the citizens were determined. And number 2, the law enforcement agents, they actually acted professionally. We discovered that though there were pockets of violence, but it was not a wildfire. So I think we can commend them on that. Then the electoral umpire too, they were so neutral to the level that everybody had a greater level of confidence